Afternoon everybody. Today is Sunday the 11th of February 2024 and this is Flosstube number 11. I know I didn't plan 11 on 11, it just happened that way. I'm Lindsay, the Cheshire Stitcher, both here on Flosstube and over on Instagram. Welcome back if you are a returning viewer, and welcome if you are a new viewer, which I do have a fair few. Since my last video, I'm now up to 374, so the possibility of 500 by Easter is looking reasonably good. Like I said in my last video, if I do manage that, then I will figure out some sort of little giveaway. So today I have got a little bit of beading for you, something that you've not seen before, but I have made progress on it, but because you've not seen it, you'll be going, I don't know. I've got some PhDs as ever. I'm going to show you a little bit of my hexie journey over the years, and I've got a bit of haul, but not a huge amount. It's in comparison to some, it's nothing. It's a drop in the ocean. So anyway, let's get started. So this project I started way back in 2010. Yeah. So I've decided it's time I got it finished. Now, at the time, this was a new kind of phenomenon to say. It was ink circle, it's ink circle circ, and I'd seen lots and lots of people stitching it in bright colours on dark fabrics. Well, I did mine in black on bright yellow fabric, sparkling sunflowers. But I also at the time saw somebody that had stitched it all in beads on fabric, and I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's nice, and then had a light bulb moment. So this is affectionately known as my mad idea. This is, like I said, ink circle circ de circ, being done entirely in delicas. I am a little bit over halfway done. Yeah, it's taken me, it's about September time, so come September time it will be 14 years old, but I'm hoping by then I'll have finished it. Like I said, I have made some progress on it this year, but you will look at it and go, well, I don't know, I can't see any progress because you've never seen it before. But I've actually done about 4 or 5 rows on this side. This is my working side. So I am using Delica's number 10, which is the black, number 42 for the gold, and then 602 for the red. When I started it, it never occurred to me. It's only sort of been in the last couple of years when I've picked it up and worked on it that I should have done that circle there and, oops, sorry about that. My board wasn't big enough, so I'm using the back of one of my PhDs. And that circle there in the red just to tie it all together a little bit better. So anyway, this is in square stitch, and I am part way down that row there, as you can see. Since I picked it up this year, I was up to about here. So I've done that much, 4 or 5 rows since I picked it up. But like I say, I've decided I want to get it finished this year. Now, square stitch is so called because you literally do it in a square. You pick your bead up. So I would pick my bead up, I would go down that one and back up that one in a square. There are various ways of doing it. I'm just doing the basic square stitch. So mine is very, very soft, very pliable. You know, I can do this, not that I do that, but it's just, it's hard to describe how it feels. And so there we go. You can see it's very see-through. Let me put that back. Pardon me. And if I do that, you might get a better idea of the colours. Like I say, just black, gold and red in the centre circles. At the time, I went for this gold because it was the cheapest option. Didn't have a lot of money. If I was starting it now, I'd probably use a more expensive one. But having said that, so far I've used nearly 100 grams of black and about 50 or 60 grams of the gold. So actually I probably wouldn't do it in a more expensive colour. But you didn't need to know that. So that's my beading. My plan is to work on something and then I'll do a bit of this and then work on something else and do a bit of this. Unless I get really into a groove with it and just carry on. But I would like to get it finished this year. I think 14 years is more than enough time. So let's go on to the PhDs, shall we? And seeing as this is the one I used to show you the back of that, not the back of that, the whole of that. There we go. This is my current love quilt. What's a love quilt? Love quilt square. Tell you, I recorded the first bit of this video I don't know how many times, because one time it came out as Flosstube. No idea what a Flosstube is. And I kept saying floor instead of four. So I'm not starting again. Tell you, I think I've got somebody else's teeth in today. Certainly don't seem to have mine. Anyway, love quilts. My current square, which, you know, as you can see, is a rocket ship going past a planet. Doing quite well on it. I've done the bulk of this planet now, as you can see. There's a little bit here. I've got the top of the rocket ship to finish, and then I come down the bottom. But the biggest part of it is done now. Quite enjoying it. It's nice and blocky. Took it with me yesterday when I went to the Cheshire Stitchers meetup, but didn't get that much done on it because I just wasn't feeling it in the end. Never mind. So it was a good, nice. There wasn't quite so many of us there yesterday, but there was a few familiar faces, and we were joined by Lynn, the Lancashire Stitcher, yesterday, so it was nice to see her. Should be seeing her again next week at the Yorkshire Stitchers. So, yeah, that's my love quilts. Obviously, it's on Ada. It's the only time I stitch on Ada. The pattern is from Stitch Fanatic, and I will link that down below for you, along with a link to love quilts. We're always on the lookout for new stitchers. You don't have to sign up for a quilt. This is for a specific quilt, but there's always any child squares which have no pressure. These have a deadline. This one has a deadline. But the any child square, you stitch and send it in at your own leisure. If it takes you 6 months to stitch a square, it takes you 6 months. It's fine. There is a list of what is more high priority than others, which currently, off the top of my head from last time I looked, was space and superheroes. And Disney princesses are always in demand. And then it fluctuates. We've had, at one time, unicorns were really popular. They've dropped off a little bit. So there's always a list of what we need more of than others. So if you stitch an animal square and send it in, it could sit there for 2 years or more before it's used. Whereas if you stitch a high priority like space or superheroes, it's more than likely going to be used within the next 12 months. They like to keep a stock of the high priority ones in, so that if an emergency quilt comes in for a child that is really sick, it can be made and sent within a couple of weeks, rather than the normal sort of, I would say, getting on 6 months, roughly. Not being a quilter and an organiser, just being a stitcher, I couldn't I couldn't tell you how long, but they always seem to be around about 6 months, because obviously they take time. So anyway, that's my Love Quilt square. Let's put you there. So as I said, these are in no particular order. So next up is, I'm not taking it out the hoop because I'm working on it, my Artecy flag, my weekend stitch along with Jeanette. Sorry, my hand's not working properly today. It's a bit sore and I can't use my index finger. I'm getting another lump appearing, so I'm kind of limited on what I can do with my index finger. It's HELL, double hockey sticks. So there we go, there it is. I'm past the halfway point now, and I'll tell you what, doing these long rows of red last weekend was so boring. Really, really boring, but had to be done. So I'm hoping my next floss tube, it might be done, or not far off anyway, because next weekend I've got plans, so it may go with me, but we'll see. It might not get much attention next week. But this is a freebie from Artecy. I'm doing it on a 36 count something. I don't know. The fabric came from my my friend that passed, from her stash, and it was just labelled as 36 count, but it was the ideal size, so I've used it. And I'm using Sulky threads. I didn't write the numbers down. I apologise for that, but I will list them down below just in case anybody is interested in what colours I'm actually using. It's a really nice, easy, straightforward stitch. This is the bigger one. There's two on their site. This is the bigger one. It's 150 by 75, and there's one that's slightly smaller. So, but I'm loving this. I'm really enjoying this, and I've already got a plan in my head as to how I'm going to finish it. So it's nothing exciting, but I do have an idea. So that's that. And I shall be back on that in a little while. So next is my Quaker flag. The other, yes, I know it's another flag, but you know, like I said, I love a Union Jack. If it's got a Union Jack, I'm a bit of a sucker. I am absolutely loving this, so much so that I am very, very tempted to get the Welsh flag and do the Welsh flag as well, because it's a dragon and I like Wales and I like dragons. I do have the rainbow one as well, which I'd bought, and if you may remember, in one of my last floss tube, well, not last floss tubes, one before Christmas, I was debating starting the rainbow one for my 1st of January start, which I didn't do in the end. But I am truly, truly loving this. And this one I am using Pattern Keeper for, experimenting with the first, with the free trial. And actually I'm quite enjoying it because the chart prints out quite small. So there we are at the moment. I have done 1,898 stitches, which is 1.96%. I'm using a 40 count Bluetiful from Fabrics by Crafty Kate. She'd taken this fabric along for somebody else to have a look at, to Cheshire Stitchers, last month, and I sort of spotted it and I'm like, oh, can I just try my cream on there, my colour that I'm going to use, and loved it. So there we go. I am, like I say, I am thoroughly enjoying this, and I wish that I could work on it more than I do. It gets a couple of evenings in a fortnight if I'm lucky. But it's just such a delight. I love every single stitch of it. Like I say, I am very tempted to get the Welsh Dragon and do the Welsh Dragon as well, which is only 4 colours, but it means I can use this nice red again, and I can use this, and I've got black, and then I would just need a green, so I could find myself a green, couldn't I? So that's my Quaker flag. I can't remember if I said I'm doing this in Sulkies as well. I'm using 1035 for the red, 1071 for the cream, 1197 is the pale blue, and then 1283 is the darker blue, but I will list those down below for you as well. So next up, that's had some love, is my temperature chart. I'm still woefully behind, but again, I just don't seem to get much time in an evening to work on it. Oh, hang on. I did a bit more of the yellow as well, didn't I? So let's do that. So there we are so far. I am going to have to invest in a proper piece of mount board or something, rather than fighting with this clip all the time. There we go. This is a 30 count Murano, long discontinued, but I have got a bit of a stash of it because I do like the 30 count. On the pattern, it doesn't call for the numbers. I decided that in years to come, I'm going to look at it and go, well, what way did I stitch the numbers? Did I go up and down? Did I go left to right? Did I go right to left? Did I go bottom to top? So I decided that I would backstitch the day in each one. So I haven't done these here because basically I ran out of a bit of thread. So once I finish these ones off, I'll add the dates there. I've still only got a little bit of my bees done, but I have done a little bit more of the yellow outlining. Like I say, I went for this one because it's hexes, and I do love a hexie, which is why I'm going to tell you a bit about my hexie journey in a little minute or two. So I'm also thinking as well that at some point in each sort of section, I'm going to either put like Jan, Feb, March, you know, or I may just put a J and an F and an M for the months across the, and obviously there will be more information on it. I'll have temperature 2024 across the top, and then across the bottom there will be a key for the colours that I've used, because the colours I've used are not the colours called for. This is from 4stitch.com, number 4, but I bought it on Etsy. So, again, I will link to that below for you. And then last but not least, as ever, we have my commission piece. There you go. As you can see, I've still not filled this in. I was hoping to get all of this filled in, but I haven't gotten round to it. I kind of got more involved in this. So this is the edge of her hat and the start of her face. So before long, I will be moving away from the face because I don't like doing faces, but I've got other stuff to do anyway. I do aim to, I am definitely getting this filled in by the end of this month. I can get that filled in, I can get all these gaps filled in, and then that whole corner there is done. But I'm going to do a bit more on here, and then I need to move my frame and start filling in on this side of the hat. Because it's got to get done at some point, so I may as well sort of give myself a bit of a target. I've done a little bit more of the border down here, but only a little bit, and a bit of the greenery. I filled in some more greenery down here as well. It's on 18 count Ada, and it was charted by Doodlecraft Designs up in Scotland that I do models for. That's how I came to be doing this, it's through them. But there we go. Hopefully next month, well no, not next month, next time, this gap will be gone and you can all go, woohoo, sick of looking at that gap. To be quite honest, so am I. Right, excuse me, need a drink. So, as you know, like I said just before, I love doing hexes. My favourite shape. I started with English paper piecing at the age of 11, so 40 years ago. And when I was clearing my mum's house out last year, in a box was this. This is my very first foray into the world of craft. At some point, my mum has machine stitched the sides together. Now I wouldn't do that, but back then I didn't know any different. I was 11 years old. So which side did I show you? So that's one side of it. And that's the other side. So this is, like I say, this is 40 years old now. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might fold it out, put some interfacing on it, and just use it as a little project bag. But I look at it now and see all the stitches where I've joined all the hexes together. Like I say, I was 11 years old, I didn't know any better. And that one there, I haven't caught that properly, or the thread's disintegrated, I don't know. So yeah, I think I might just, like I say, turn it right sides out, put some interface in and use it as a project bag. So I still do scrappy hexes. This is my handy tin. I have a box upstairs that has got loads more in, and every once in a while I sorry, Flosstube itchy nose. I will empty this tin out and put more in it because I've got a little lunch. It's a kid's lunchbox, but it works out really handy that I can, the side where you're supposed to put the sandwiches, I put fabric and scissors, and then the little sections, I've got squares of fabric, I've got my hexagons, I've got threads, so I just sit and baste hexes. They're useful when I'm going somewhere. Sometimes when I go to bingo on a Wednesday night, I don't feel like taking my stitching, so I'll sit and baste hexes. I used to sit and baste them at WI before the start of the meeting, and then when they were doing all the business at the start of the meeting, I would sit and do the hexes. If it was a talk and there was lights, sometimes, you know, doing a talk, if there was a slideshow, the lights would go off. But if there was a talk and they didn't turn the lights off, I would sit and still baste hexes, because I can do this and listen at the same time. So yeah, that's my tin. And you probably spotted this. I made him years ago. No idea what the pattern is, no idea where the pattern was from. Just a little black cat with some black stars on the back. And I've probably made hexes from this. And then I plaited, I'm not sure if it's ribbon or floss, just to make a hanger, and they live in there. If I was making him now, he'd probably have walnut shells in him to give him a bit of weight, because isn't he filled with stuffing? But my little scissor. I want to say it's a cat's whiskers design, but I don't know. It could be, but I really do not know. So don't quote me on that. So my current general hexie project doesn't look like much, does it? I'm adding that strip on down the side, so that's why it's a bit loose. This is just, like I say, a scrappy one, because I love doing scrappy ones. So this was living in that tin till it got a bit too big, so I then started a new section, which I'll show you in a second. Not an easy thing to show, really. So there we go. Oh, that's a bit better. So this is the bigger piece. Like I say, I'm just stitching an extra bit on because I realised it wasn't quite wide enough. It's only going to be a cushion cover. When I'm done, I will take all the papers out. I'll give it a press, then take the papers out. Then I'll put some interfacing on the back just to make, I'm just going to make an envelope fold. So it's going to be long enough so that when I come to sew it together, so I don't have to do anything on machine, do it that way around, I can do that with each piece. But obviously it's not going to be that skinny, it's going to be a full length. So that's the piece that got too big for the tin, and this is the piece that is currently in the tin. So again, once this gets too big to fit in the tin neatly, I just fold it in half, and when it doesn't fit anymore, then this piece will come out, get attached to that piece, and I'll start a new one. I have no rule about colours, or, you know, I just pick out what I fancy. So well, the only slight rule I have is, like this one, when I come to put one in here, it won't be predominantly black, it won't be predominantly green, it won't be purple or cream, so it could end up being a yellow one, it could end up being a red one, it could be anything. That's my only kind of rule, is that I don't want similar colours together, because I'd get drawn to put, I know me, and I would end up putting quite a few, like this frog here, I'd end up putting a few of them together, and I don't want to do that. I want to separate the colours out. So it's just, like I say, it's just a scrappy cushion cover. That's all it's going to be. So there you go. If I show you closer up, you see now my stitches, the difference between the first one I ever did 40 years ago at the age of 11, when I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and now. There is a big difference. Big difference. My stitches are smaller, they're neater. It's like everything, isn't it? It's a learning curve. You go, as you go, you learn. And I learned a lot over the years. I stopped for a long time. And then I got involved. There was a group on Facebook that was doing a swap for Grandmother's Flower Garden, which is basically, you've got 6 hexagons on the outside that are all the same colour, and then a plain one in the centre, and you signed your centre and you sent it off, and you got back. I've got a box full that I have started to sew together. Really, I suppose I should have pulled that out as well. I have started to sew those together, but I've only done a few, and this swap ended 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I haven't really done anything since. With that, I like doing the scrappy. I've also got a quilt that is in diamonds. That is far, oh, pardon me, far too big for me to show on here. So what I'll have to do is, when the weather gets better in the summer, is peg it on the washing line, take a picture, because it's just way too big. Again, I don't work on it as often as I would like, or as I should, for it to actually get somewhere. But never mind, it's my hobby. If I don't want to work on it for 5 years, I don't work on it for 5 years. There we go. Right, so that's my little bit of my hexie journey. And the last thing I've got is a smidgen of haul. And it is only a smidgen. So, if you remember, last time round I'd had an order from 123 Stitch and one piece was missing. That was the missing one, and it arrived the day after I filmed. Of course, I bet you can guess why I bought that. I do love my sunflowers, so that was the one I was missing from my 123 Stitch order last time round. And then I needed some needles, so I usually buy mine from Fobbles because they do the bow-in ones. And whenever I go to there to order needles, I always have a look at their sale page. And this time I only had that. For the grand sum total of £3. And I thought, for £3, that's just the kind of thing I like. It's a sampler, but it's not a sampler. So I may have to keep an eye out for the rest of the series, because obviously it says it's a series of... What's the series called? Doesn't have a name. Right across the top. Verses for Stitchers. So I might have to have a look and keep an eye out for them. But I thought that was lovely. So it came home. And of course, because I was going to order needles, it wasn't travelling on its own anyway, so it's fine. I don't go and look at the sales section and then think, oh, what can I get to get? I went to buy this. I actually did go to get the needles. So, I don't need to show you needles. You know what a packet of needles look like. You're not daft. Well, I don't know, some of you might be, but in general, no, you're not daft. You know what packet of needles look like. So, there we go. So, at some point in the future, she says, that will become a PhD. And then my last thing that I have haul-wise is, I was browsing through Instagram as you do, and Canny Little Fox had posted a whole load of her little project folders. You know, the folders that you get, and you've got your section for your work, and then you've got the bits with you put your bobbins in, and I don't particularly want one of them, but she'd got one in this fabric, and I'm like, oh, I love that fabric. So I messaged, well, I posted and said, any chance of a project bag in this? And I got a message saying, I've got one fat quarter of it left. And I'm going, sold, yes please, me please. So a couple of days ago, I got my bag. This is the fabric I fell in love with. Put my book behind it. It's in trouble with filming in front of the window. I did it again. Oh.
Keep out the cold air with Navy Seal Draft Shields from J&L. The draft-proofing tape that blocks gaps and cracks.
Oh dear, did it again, unmuted the telly. I really must learn to not leave the remote on the sofa next to me when I'm filming, because I've done that twice now. Anyway, this is the fabric I fell in love with, and messaged and said, you know, any chance of a project bag in this fabric. So, as I say, a couple of days later, I then got one off her saying it's finished. Now, I didn't realise when she sent me the picture that it's actually, I don't know how I'm going to show this. It's not plain. It's actually the vinyl that's sparkly. I thought it was the yellow, but it isn't. It's the vinyl. But I love it. I've no idea what project's going to go in it as yet. Might put my temperature one in it actually, because that's just in a one that came free with a magazine, but it's one of those ones with the elastic, you know, you put the elastic over the corners. It's not very good. So I might actually put that in here. But yeah, I didn't realise that it was the vinyl that was sparkly. And we've got a lovely pair of scissor charm there. So that was my other piece of haul. Because, you know, you can never have too many project bags. I am going to attempt to make one at some point. But the radiator in my craft room doesn't work very well. So it's always cold in there. So at this time of year, I'm a bit reluctant to spend too much time in there. But I am going to make an attempt when it warms up a few more degrees. Well, there we go. So that's it for today. 36 minutes. It's not too bad. It's about right for me, isn't it? So next time round, my search assert will have more progress on it. I am determined that there will be more work on the Quaker flag. That Quaker flag, by the way, is a hashtag 2024 Quaker flag Sal. Should have mentioned that. And it's organised by Wombat Hollow Crafts and Darvaline Design Studios, I think it is. But I'll link them down below for you. Anyway, I will love you and leave you. So have a good next couple of weeks. Enjoy your stitching time. And I'll see you soon. Bye.